Okay, folks, I just wanted to run through our next key level, which is the Frankfurt High and Low. Frankfurt recently has become one of my favorite times to trade because the move has become quite predictable. It's easy to make some good RR on, so much so that I've designed a simple supply and demand setup to trade as a standalone. This is outside key levels, what I'm teaching at the moment, and that's going to be in a future module, so just ignore that for now. London Open recently has become about an hour or so of accumulation and barely even worth watching. This is designed to bring longs and shorts into the market, then eventually raid their stops. This has become a time to avoid, in my opinion, and just go take a break. With all that said, the Frankfurt High and Low are key levels in the Cable Traders program, and I'll show you a couple of examples. I literally have dozens, but this is two just to get you started, and I'll post some images alongside this to get you acquainted. The thing I have to stress is that you're not marking the absolute high and low after the session is ended. You're marking M1 swing highs and lows during the Frankfurt session. If you're unfamiliar with what a swing high or low looks like, I'll get into that in later sections and in the price action section. This process is going to take some getting used to. The idea is high volume times, a lot of stop losses will be placed below swing highs and swing lows during Asia, Frankfurt, London, New York. So they become targets for market makers to build positions. So if we could direct your attention to the 21st of April, 2022, and we're at 3:45, so that's midway through the Asia session. So I'm going to speed things up just to show how the Asia range develops. There we have the Asia range low set. Okay, so I'm just going to pause things here. We talked in the previous section about the Asia high and Asia low being targets for potential reversals. What we also have is the Frankfurt high and low as targets for potential reversals, and I'll show you how this works in this example. So you'll see the price moves up down fairly quickly down to the Frankfurt low right here, okay? And moves into this M1 supply zone and starts moving up. So this is going to be called setup 2 in the cable trader syllabus. This is a standalone trade, but it's not what I want to talk about right now. So price moves up, claims Asia range high, London open starts, we have Frankfurt high and a short-term high created. And then very quickly we wipe the Frankfurt low. So this now becomes a potential reversal and a potential trade. So in M1, we go into the futures footprint and look for confirmation to go long. I won't show that here, that's outside of this overview. I know this seems fairly complex at this point, it's happening very quickly, but over time this will become a lot more clear and it'll become second nature after you practice it for a little while. If you look further, when we go on, you're going to see the London Open also wiped. So the London Open Frankfurt High is also a key level. So that's what we can target in this long. Okay, so let's say for the sake of argument that we go in long here. Let's say we get into the fair value gap here. And we're going to target London Open, Frankfurt High, and set our stop loss just below the fair value gap. Okay, so this is going to be actually a 28-hour trade if we get it right, of course. And let's just see how it unfolds. And there you go. A very quick trade up to an M15 FVG. So this is actually a trade, we're going to call it trading level later on. So after a key level's wiped, we also need a trading level. It could be a supply and demand zone or a fair value gap. So at this point, you've made 20 hours. So in my opinion, you would stop trading after this. You would not risk more capital to try and get more. But for the sake of this example, let's just say you want to trade again and you've wiped this key level, the Frankfurt High. You've moved into a trading level and you're now looking into M1, into the futures footprint and looking for short confirmation. Let me stress, we're not just like randomly going short here and randomly going long here. We're going into M1 and looking for specific things, which we'll get into later. Okay, so let's just see how this plays out. And target-wise, I think you'd be looking for the Asia range low in this example. So, we'll let it play out a little bit first. And we're getting quite a rapid move down and a fair value gap here. So I'm going to pause it. So this actually moved so quickly that I didn't even get a chance to put in the short, but it did come down to the Asia low. And we have a way to get into these rapid up and down moves using the futures footprint. What we'll see is a large amount of imbalance is created. And on M1, we can get in quick taps. So it's one of the confirmation methods that we have. But you can see what's happening here. We're basically just bouncing between key levels, Frankfurt low, up to the London Open, back down to the Asia range low. That's really how the intraday market plays out its liquidity building. It's actually a lot easier than you could possibly imagine. It takes a bit of practice, but that's what it is. So I'm going to move on to another example. This is just a picture of another example that you're going to come across quite a lot. So on this example, we had the Asia range high set here, and we moved along, and it was pre-Frankfurt, and we moved above the Asia range high, and I actually took a short here, just there. In my trading plan, I set my stop to break even after 8 to 10 pips. So it came up and took out my break even stop, but we had the Frankfurt high set here. And then we made a triple top, and I noticed it was in declining volume, but after being stopped out break even, I was kind of in no appetite to take risks. So I waited a little bit, and then we had this break of structure and a massive imbalance created. I think that was 67.0. So I waited and price retested the imbalance. Price will tend to gravitate towards large imbalances. They act like support and resistance, and I got in short here, and this went for, I think it was well over 50 pips. So yeah, that's just one other example. You'll see a high created in Asia sometimes, Frankfurt high created, and then that'll be wiped, and then it will go short. So this is all just liquidity building, and you have to be aware of it. You have to be aware that you're going to be setting your stop to break even quite a lot, and you're going to take a lot of break evens, and it's just the nature of intraday trading. So that's just one example, or two examples rather, of how to trade Frankfurt High and Low. And we'll get into more as time goes on, but that's just kind of a primer. Okay, thank you for listening, and